Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Muslimah. I'm your host, Zara Pedersen, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking about how you could be attracting the wrong thing and what you need to be aware of and what you need to change in order to make sure you are attracting from a good place. This is I'm actually kind of really proud of myself because this is something that I kind of referred to in Monday's episode a week ago. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do an episode on that because I kind of mentioned how I think I mentioned, oh, excuse you, how I'm excuse, that totally took me out or distracted me. I think I mentioned in last week's episode how I attracted my marriage, but I attracted my marriage from a wrong place, and so I got the wrong marriage. And I'm going to go into that a little bit as well. I'm going to use myself as an example in today's episode. I'm not going to go in too deep because it's personal, it's private, but I'm just going to kind of skim over what I mean when I say that and what I need you to take away from my mistakes, so to speak, right? I want to preface very quickly before we get into sort of the nitty-gritty of today's episode that while I may use words today as mistake and wrong things and so on and so forth, we have to keep in mind that everything happens with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think this is so important to continuously remind ourselves of, especially when we speak about things like law of attraction and manifestation and how we can attract things and so on and so forth, because we are not creators, but we have free will. And so we have a number of directions and destinies that we can choose from, and depending on our choices, we can then decide the right thing, the quote unquote wrong thing, the quote unquote whatever thing, right? But obviously everything can only happen by the permission of Allah. So even if it is quote unquote the wrong thing, it is still the right thing because Allah has allowed it to be, meaning Allah sees. Twinkle, come here. Don't make me. I'm going to have to go close the door and bring her inside. I'm so sorry. 1 second. Okay. Bismillah. Before I was so rudely interrupted by Twinkle's mania barking at what I believe was just a plastic bag or something. What I was trying to say is that even when something happens to us and we deem it to be wrong or incorrect or whatever, or bad, quote unquote bad, we have to remember that everything only, it only happens by the permission of Allah. So Allah has to allow it to happen, allow it to be, and then it can be. And what we have to remember from that is that in that allowance, he gives that allowance because he can see something on the other side of it. And usually it's because there's a lesson in there. We have to learn something for ourselves, about other people, about boundary setting, about finances, about him, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's some growth in there, and usually it's if we pick up the lesson that Allah is trying to put down for us when he allows certain things to happen, it's because it can bring us closer to him if we're good at picking up the lesson. Otherwise we can continue walking around in circles and keep falling into the same trap, doing the wrong thing or experiencing the wrong thing, again quote unquote wrong thing, because we're not picking up the lesson. Okay. But I just feel like it's very important for me to say these things because I will use words, as I said, like wrong or mistakes and things like that today. And I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page, that while I say these words, it doesn't indicate that what is happening to you is wrong or that it is a mistake. It is by divine permission. And because of that, there is a reason behind it. And so we have to look at it from mistake and wrong from our perspective, from our very limited perspective as humans in this dunya. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm actually going to start off, I think, by explaining what I mean when I say that I manifested the wrong marriage. And this has taken me some time and some healing, some work with a therapist, and a lot of spiritual work and surrendering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to get to the other side of that and the realization of that for myself. Because quite often when we experience something like that, for any of my girls out there who've been divorced, you'll know, it's not a fun thing to go through a divorce. It's very, very I mean, it's heartbreaking, and it's a very difficult time. And while it's easy to try and sort of blame somebody, like the other part, for everything, we have to always look back at ourselves and be like, well, what role did I play and stuff? And one of the things that I had to do as somebody who's so interested in manifesting and law of attraction combined, obviously, or not combined, but like from the Islamic perspective, is understanding the reason for it and what I did to sort of call that in for myself, and I had to understand that at the time, because I hardly ever really realized that I'm doing it when I'm doing it, but like I was manifesting that marriage very powerfully, manifesting at that moment, but I didn't realize it until like after the fact. And I did it from a wrong place. I did it from a place that wasn't healed. I did it from a place that wasn't secure. I did it from a place that didn't understand my own worth and value. And so I did it from a place where, if like attracts like, which is, the sum of law of attraction, is to say, like attracts like. You don't attract who you want to be, you attract who you are. And at that time, who I was unhealed and not feeling worthy, not feeling valuable, not feeling like a bunch of stuff. There was a lot of things within me in that time. And I was attracting from that place. And what did I get in return? Well, if like attracts like, I'm going to get that also in return. So meaning my partner that I attracted at that time also was in my energetic playing field, right? And this is no shade to him necessarily. It's, again, like, it's very tempting as the ex-wife to sit here and throw shit and shade, but I'm not going to do that, because it's not about him. This is about me. And even in the lesson of it, it's still not about him. It's still about me, because it's about, and I said this to a friend that I went out for dinner with last night, and I said to him, it's not about giving the other people the power over your energy. I have to control my own energy, meaning I also have to take responsibility for it and take responsibility for that energy when things go wrong. So because I was attracting from a place where I didn't feel healed and valuable, and I felt like I had a lot of things that I couldn't, like, that I had to make up for, or that I wasn't good in, or whatever, I then also attracted someone who, again, was equal to that, because that is what I felt like I deserved. And, while it's not about him, it's not like he then married down. We both came from that place because we were a mirror of each other. Right? So we were mirroring each other, and we were seeing ourselves in the other person. And so we felt like that feels appropriate. You're just as effed up as I am, so we must deserve each other. Do you know, like, it sounds awful to say, really, but I feel like I just have to say it because I have to be truthful. I'm good with it. Like, I've come to terms with it. I've done a lot of healing and stuff, and I'm not in that position anymore, alhamdulillah. But in that time, and I also hope that for my ex-husband, of course, but at that time, that's where we both were. And both of us, whether or not he would like to admit it or I wanted to admit it, we both didn't feel deserving of a healthy relationship. And so we attracted each other. And that, of course, is not going to result in a healthy marriage. It's going to result in the energy that we're coming at it with is also what it's going to sort of like bring forth. So it didn't bring a healthy relationship. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but ultimately, here we are, divorced. And alhamdulillah for that, right? So I can sit back again, coming back to what I said initially at the beginning of the episode about, I manifested the wrong thing. It should never have happened. Absolutely not. Alhamdulillah that it happened. I'm grateful that it happened because it taught me a lot of things. Because again, what did I choose to do? I chose to look at it, instead of looking at it like a punishment or something that went wrong and shouldn't have happened and that Allah somehow allowed, even though there was no purpose with it. I decided to look at it from the perspective of, okay, Allah allowed it to be, hence there has to be value in it. And the value in it for me was, number one, the most important thing. It gave me the push that I so desperately needed to fully surrender to Allah. And alhamdulillah for that. Alhamdulillah, I dare say, and it's such a weird thing to say, so bear with me if it kind of strikes a bit of an awkward chord in you, but divorce made me grow closer to Allah. Alhamdulillah for that, right? And it's not to make divorce good or better or anything like that. I know that Allah doesn't like divorce and all of those things, but it is what it is. I mean, I can't change that fact that going through that divorce and having to go through such a horrible time for myself and for my family, and it did something to me that made me surrender more to Allah. And that is the number one thing that was sort of like that. I'm so grateful for that, for even though it was a horrible time, and even though I wouldn't wish it for anybody else, and even though I wouldn't want to go through it again myself, I'm so grateful for it because it did something positive on the other side of it. And that is potentially what Allah saw, or not even potentially, Allah sees everything, alhamdulillah, right? And He saw that on the other side of this divorce, if I played my cards right, I would move closer to Him. And so He facilitated, He allowed it to happen, right? What it will be for my ex-husband, I can't speak on that, because we're not in communication for one, but but that's his story. And again, as I said, it is not about him. This is about me. So Allah saw that. And so He gave permission for it to happen, because He saw that on the other side, again, if I played my cards right, I could come out a better servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And alhamdulillah, I feel like, I'm living in that timeline right now because of my decisions and because of the way that Allah has allowed certain things to happen for me. So on the other hand of that, I could choose to look at it and be like, oh, it was awful, it was bad, and why did Allah allow me to waste my time in that marriage? Why did I have to go through all of that? And completely ignore the fact that, again, if only good things come from Allah. We've had this conversation, my dears, quite extensively at this point, but we've had this conversation. So only good can come from Allah, meaning if He allows it to be, then there has to be good in it, right? So let's talk about what it means then, taking into consideration all of this. So remember that I'm using a very personal example here, something from my own personal life that is quite private in many ways, and I've only really given you the top layer of it. But remember, I'm coming from a position of saying I've done it myself, and I've done it with what a lot of people would call a big gamble, or a big thing, or a big life moment, to get married and then to get divorced. So I want you to understand that whatever I'm saying is because I've said it to myself as well, and I've had to realize that for myself at the same time. So in that moment that I was trying to attract a marriage, again, as I said, I hadn't done a whole lot of thinking about who I am in that moment, my worth and my value, what am I bringing to the table kind of thing. I hate that kind of wording, but you know what I mean. What am I bringing to a relationship? What are my expectations of a husband? What are my expectations of myself? What are my boundaries? What are, just certain things. So I went into the marriage very green in that way, I don't know anything, I'll just take it as it comes, which that is my fault. 1,000% my fault, because I should have set some parameters up for myself. I should have known myself better. I should have healed myself more, and I should have set more boundaries up for myself. I should have done a lot more healthy communication with myself, and then with my ex-husband at the time, and family and whatever. But I didn't, because I didn't know better. You don't know what you don't know. So I'm not blaming past Zara for this, don't get me wrong. And I don't want you to blame past you for anything in the past either. I want you to look at it from a place of compassion, that now and thank that past version of you, because now you know better, and you grow and you become stronger, and so on and so forth, right? But thinking back now, I can see how unprepared I was for marriage, for being in that kind of a relationship. I can see how unprepared my ex-husband was for marriage and for that kind of relationship. But that's what I attracted, because that's where I was, right? So that was what I was going to get in return. And I'm going to also, I'm so sorry if it feels like I'm all over the place with this. I'm trying to sort of choose my words carefully also. But I want to also say, and I did forget to say this in the beginning, when we're talking about like attracting like, we have to remember that it's the same concept that Allah is bringing to us in the hadith, where he says, I am as my servant thinks of me. That, you know, Allah also mirrors us to us, right? It doesn't mean that Allah is that, you know, eternally and divinely. It means that Allah is to us what we are to him. So the way that we approach Allah is the way that he's going to approach us. And I'm actually going to do another episode on that entirely based off of specifically salah, inshallah. So remind me of that if I forget, sorry. But so it's the same thing. So we're not doing anything, by the way, when I'm saying that I'm attracting from that place. I'm not doing anything that Allah is not already telling us. This is how the world works. You get from where you are, from that position. So if you're not healing yourself, if you're not understanding your worth and your value, if you're not fully believing that you can get more and you deserve more, then you're not going to be able to attract that. And even if, and I'm going to use this example, no, oh my God, I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry, ladies. Okay, because there's so much to be said. I'm gonna take me out of the equation now, and I'm gonna focus on you. You want to attract a marriage, all right? And at the same time, you're looking at yourself and you don't understand your worth. You don't see yourself as a particularly valuable person because maybe you didn't finish your education. Maybe you still live with your mum and dad and you think that somehow that's a failure. Maybe you're past 30. A lot of women see a lot of disvalue in that. Is that the word? I don't know if that's the word, but I think you know what I mean when I say disvalue. I don't think that's a word, but they see a lot of disvalue in it. So they see like, oh, I'm a certain age, so now I'm no longer valuable because I'm not 24 or whatever. Maybe, I mean, it could be a number of things. Maybe even you've been divorced before, right? Like me, or you have children from a different marriage or a previous marriage. And all of these things you're looking at as something that lowers your value. So you're seeing yourself decreasing in value. And as a result, when you're going out there and you're searching for a partner, a marriage, you're searching from a position where you're saying, I am not worthy of a good marriage. I'm not worthy of a better partner. I'm not worthy of this, that, and the other. And so you're basically chipping away slowly at what you truly want and what is wonderful in a marriage, and you're saying, I'm not worthy of that. And so you're more willing to compromise, to let go of your own values and things because, oh, well, who am I to keep on to holding on to this? You know, like maybe I'll just let it go. Maybe I'll just forget that. Yeah, well, I mean, he's not the prettiest. Well, no, he doesn't make the most money. Oh, well, he doesn't this, that, and the other. But, you know, he wants me, I guess. He likes me, I guess. So, you know, pickers can't be choosers. Or how does it go? Pickers can't be choosers? That's not the one, is it? Beggars can't be choosers. I don't know what pickers are. Beggars can't be choosers. Well, I suppose pickers can't either, but I don't know. But beggars can't be choosers, and that's kind of your whole mindset. So the first time somebody comes and shows genuine interest in you, it's very hard for you to argue against it and be like, and looking at the red flags when they present themselves and looking at the deal breakers essentially for you when they show themselves. And instead you end up in a position where you're negotiating with your own desires and needs, and ultimately what you maybe subconsciously would have believed you were worth, or did in the past believe you were worth. And that is how you're manifesting yourself a wrong marriage. And now I'm going to get into what I was trying to say earlier when I interrupted myself is, let us say that then comes a person who is all the things. They tick all the boxes for you, right? And you're like, wow, he really, like, this is, 11-year-old me's Batman. This is Batman introducing himself to me as a Muslim. And, oh, wow, this is the one. Wow, this is the person I really wanted. Because you're not healed within yourself and you haven't done the critical thinking and the critical work on yourself, you will sabotage that. Because why? You still don't believe you're worth it. So you can have it for a moment, and then because your inner belief is still telling you, I'm not worth this. I don't have enough value to support this. He's eventually going to see right through me and leave me because everybody leaves me, or he's not going to follow through because nobody follows through with me because this, that, and the other, whatever your reasoning is. And that's how you sabotage. You sabotage by questioning it too much, not trusting it, by being too clingy, too desperate, all of these things, instead of just walking in as that beautiful person that you are and embracing Allah's blessings when they come their way. So that is how you can sabotage even when something good comes. We see this quite a lot, to be fair. And you've probably, if you think back and really sit with it, you might even recognize a few times in your past where you've done the exact same thing, where you've got something really good and something within you, and there was nothing that said it was going to stop or it was going to break or whatever, and still it didn't last. Look at people who win the lottery. When they haven't worked on their inner money mindset, their belief around money, their worth around money and stuff, 1 year later, they don't have anything. And it doesn't matter if they've won 1 million or several millions. It just doesn't last. Because why? They will sabotage it for themselves because they don't feel safe with it. And they don't feel safe with it because they haven't healed that part of them that is broken around it, that doesn't believe that they deserve to have it. And that also goes in attracting a partner for ourselves. So when you don't believe that you are worthy of something, you're not going to be able to attract it. And even if it does come, that thing that you genuinely are like, oh my God, that's the holy grail of the thing that I want. When it comes, you're going to sabotage it. You might have it for a little bit, but then you're going to sabotage it because you don't believe that it's worth it, that you are worthy of having that thing. Okay. And even if that happens, that doesn't mean, oh, I've let my person go because I sabotaged it one time. If you've already experienced that for yourself, again, Allah has allowed it to be so you can learn the lesson and then He'll introduce the right person to you. Okay. Don't worry. Allah's plan is perfect. There is no wrong things in Allah's plan. There is no mistakes. There is no mishaps or what ifs or whatever. That doesn't exist in Allah's plan. So if you fully surrender to it and have tawakkul, it'll come back again. But what you must do, and now we're getting into your job in this position, is work on yourself. I know it's not super romantic. It's not fun. It's not exciting. In fact, sometimes it can be difficult. But what you have to do is work on the way that you see yourself, the way you love yourself, the way you respect yourself, the way you hold yourself accountable, the way you respect your own boundaries, everything about yourself. And this is not, it's easier said than done, right? Because isn't this what everybody's preaching? Like, you have to love yourself, you have to this, that, the other yourself. And yet it's one of the things that most of us have the most difficulty with, except if you're a narcissist, of course. But most of us will struggle with this because we'll focus on, all the quote unquote wrong things about ourselves or the flaws or whatever. And this is where my number one piece of advice to you, if you're working on self-love, self-respect, self-trust, whatever it might be, to try and see yourself from Allah's perspective. Try and see yourself from the creator of creation, the creator that does not create anything flawed. He doesn't create anything in mistakes. He doesn't create anything less than perfect. Allah creates imperfection, not in, new word, perfection, okay? He creates perfection. Let me just say it that way. He creates perfection every single time, meaning that you were created perfectly. This is important to remember. I know it can feel a little bit, ugh. No, don't say that. I'm not perfect. To Allah, you are. The way Allah created you, you're perfect. Okay? And very loved and treasured and valued by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He created you with anything that you perceive to be a flaw or a mistake within you. And it is your job to recognize that those are your strengths. Those are the things that the right person will come and love about you and appreciate by you and hold so dear to them by you. And they will and those are also the things that could be your strength, where your rizq comes from. essentially, if you lean into it. The more you try to run away from who you are and change yourself to fit into some mold or a shape or a box or something that society, your family, expectations, whatever, tries to get you to fit into, the more you're stepping away from how Allah wants you to be. Individuality, my darling, individuality. And the more you can live into how Allah wants you to be and truly be that person and see yourself from that perspective, the easier it becomes to actually love yourself. Not because you have to sit there and be like, oh my God, I'm so in love with myself. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that instead of looking at yourself and punishing yourself essentially for being created by Allah the way that He created you in that perfection and in His splendor and in His power, you look at yourself and you say, oh my God, I've been punishing myself for having a big voice, for having big thighs, for having, I don't know, this specific talent, this thing, that whatever. And in reality, it's my superpower. It's the thing that Allah has created me with because there's a reason for it. I just haven't discovered the reason yet. And so getting excited about that, finding excitement for discovering all the amazing ways that Allah has made you so uniquely you. And then falling in love with that, not yourself in that way, because again, we're not narcissists and it can be difficult to stay in that state of loving ourselves, but in the way of appreciation, in the way of appreciating that Allah has created you uniquely perfect the way that you are. And the more you lean into it, the better life becomes. And the more you're also grateful, showing shukr to Allah, which is again worship to Allah for saying, thank you for making me the way that you made me. I see no flaws in your creation, including myself. And that doesn't have to be a narcissistic thing. It doesn't have to be a thing of like where you're stuck in your own ego. It is just an appreciation of Allah's work, and you're a part of that work. And so when we're seeing ourselves from the eyes of Allah, personally, like I keep closing my eyes when I do it because it makes me feel so humble and so grateful. And it makes me appreciate myself in a different level because I'm not one to question Allah's creation. I used to be, right? I used to be until I knew better. And now I can do it, and it removes all the things within me that feels like I have to punish myself at the gym or punish myself with, I don't know, plastic surgery, fillers, Botox, punish myself by trying to not laugh as loud as I do or speak with a different tone of voice or straighten my hair or put colored contacts in or whatever. I don't know. It could be anything. It could also be something about your character and what you like versus what you dislike. Is anything. And one of the things that I've really come to find is that now I'm going to say something that's going to sound so full of myself. Please don't take it that way, but I'm just going to say it the way it comes out, and however it comes out is the way that it lands, and I hope you get the best from it. Now I'm attracting like men into my life. I'm not trying, by the way, and I'm not saying that like as a play. It's like I'm just being myself, and I'm loving where I'm at in life, and I'm loving, the growth that I've gone through, alhamdulillah. And I'm enjoying myself. And as a result, the men are coming on their own. I'm not currently necessarily in a state where I think, I want to go on dates with any of them necessarily. But I'm attracting still because I've become an attractive person. Gratitude makes you an attractive person. And when I mean attractive, I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking energetically speaking, right? So when you love yourself, other people are automatically going to be like, wow, this person is having fun. They are a high value. They know their worth. They know their value. And as a result, you're kind of like, what happens energetically speaking is you're kind of filtering out the riffraff, so to speak, the nonsense. And it becomes also easier for you if any of those riffraff nonsense people kind of squirm in for you to then be like, you know what, I'm good, thank you. Because you no longer feel that desperation for just anyone to come in and fill a void or something, and like that loneliness. you're confident within yourself, and you're confident with Allah's ability to bring something to you when it is the right time. And that is how you get around attracting potentially the quote unquote wrong thing. It is by feeling that confidence within yourself, especially when it comes to that, like attracting a partner. It also, of course, comes to like other places like money, all of that. I kind of wanted to focus on marriage and a partner because I know that so many of you are, very interested in this subject. And because I can speak specifically into my own example of how I attracted the wrong marriage, because I hadn't done that work and I didn't have that understanding of myself at that time. And this is also why, if you've worked with me one-on-one, or if you're in my membership, you'll know that I say things like, I don't think you should be out there looking for a partner right now until you've worked on this for yourself. And I will keep saying to the ladies, especially in the membership group, which, by the way, if you're not a part of the membership group, sign up. We're having so much fun over there. The conversations that we're having are insane. So good. So I say to the ladies all the time over there, remember your worth, remember your value. You are valuable. You are worthy. You just inherently are, simply because Allah has created you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to be anything. You simply are because Allah created you, meaning you have value. You are worth something just for existing, simply for that. No other reason is necessary. So when we go out there and we then are like, wow, Allah loves me. How can I show Allah that love back? Like, how can I show Allah my gratitude? We can show that by respecting ourselves, setting up boundaries, protecting ourselves from the wrong people, the wrong things, making wiser decisions around what we let into our space, and then in turn attracting the good things rather than the bad things. And that way, it's not so much avoiding the lessons, because we will always have the lessons, but learning from the lessons so we don't end up falling into the same lessons over and over and over and over again, which a lot of us get stuck in that cycle, which then cements the belief that I'm not worthy. So learn the lesson. It'll not harm you. It'll only do good to you. Learn that lesson, understand your worth and value, then go out and attract a partner from that place, because that is when you'll attract the right kind of marriage. It is not from a place where another person will heal me, another person will do the thing, then I will become valuable. You will only attract from the state that you're in. So if that is the place you're attracting from, you're not going to get a wonderful marriage from that. You're going to get one where there's a lot of struggle, where you will constantly be the less valuable one, where there's no trust, there's no communication, whatever it might be. Work on yourself, work on your understanding of yourself, the belief in yourself, and then go out and attract and meet a partner from that perspective. And if this is something you want to work on and you're like, I need help with this, hit me up. If you want to do it in private, I offer one-on-one coaching. Check it out. It's linked in the show notes. If you don't feel that it's necessary for you to do it on a one-on-one, and you also, by the way, would like a beautiful international group of women to support you during your journey, then sign up for the membership. Wallah, Habiba. Excuse you both. Not you if you're listening. The dogs. It's the dogs. It's always the dogs. Doodle. We're okay. Okay. Yes. Oh, it's a wonderful day to be loud. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so yes, if you would like to do it with a group of like-minded women, international group of like-minded women, then sign up for my membership. We meet every Monday and Thursday. You join in for any of the calls that you can, and we just have some wonderful connections and conversations in that group. And I would love to see you there as well. All right, my darling, I hope that you could make sense of my at times rambling and kind of interrupting myself and so on and so, and the dogs barking and all that. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And then, of course, again, as I said, if you want to work on this with me, then hit me up, book a one-on-one or join the group membership. I would love to work with you on this because, my darling, you absolutely have worth and value, and you are worthy of the best in this dunya and the akhirah, inshallah, simply because Allah has created you and then made you. I just literally had to catch the dog from jumping out. And then made you a Muslim. Alhamdulillah. All right, my darling, I hope I will see you on Thursday's episode, inshallah. But until then, my darling friend, please don't forget to live in love.